I will start us off with a um, short moments meditation. And so, as always, feel free to keep your cameras on or off and to sit or lie down, whatever makes you comfortable. And same with your eyes. If you do want to keep them open, I suggest you gaze slightly down. Like typically the instruction would be along like the back of your nose here, but you can also just close your eyes or whatever feels comfortable. And let's take a few gentle, deep breaths together. Just with every in-breath, feel the air entering your body. And if you can, it's good to breathe through your nose. It's been shown to be very healthy, actually. And breathe out. And with every breath, maybe let your shoulders sink a little more, just with the force of gravity as you're settling in here. Knowing these minutes we have together here are for you. Nothing to manage or specifically do or think or make happen, just being here as you are. And check in with yourself what that's like to be you right now. What's present for you. Might be thoughts about your day, maybe things that you know you will need to be or should be doing. Or maybe things that happened. Just see if there is anything that keeps stirring in your mind. And also notice if there is any mood or emotional tone in your being today. And the point here is just to notice what it's like to be you right now, not at all to judge or change or do anything with what you're finding. Just being really as you are. Noticing what that means right now for you. Often when we meditate, we try to get into our perfect meditation posture and have the perfect state of mind, but it's good to really look at what's actually happening for us. And notice we can find just by noticing in an open way, we can find more ease and rest. Even though the same thoughts might be there, the same mood might be there. Maybe also get a sense of what it's like in your body right now. You might feel your feet on the ground, your legs and back if you're sitting against the chair. Pressure there, where the two may contact your body and the chair. And see if there is any more tension in your neck and upper part of your body that you can just allow to relax. And as you're sitting here in this simple, relaxed way, notice what that you is that's aware of all of this happening. The awareness, the intelligence by which you know you are, the awareness that hears my voice. You. That you that's there all through the day, no matter what you're thinking, feeling, sensing, experiencing. And as you take a moment to look directly at yourself in this way, what's there? Is there anything at all? Can you pinpoint that you? Or is it just an aware presence that can't be found anywhere? It doesn't have a thingness quality to it. Notice also what that's like to recognize yourself as that awareness. And then notice again your feet and your body against the chair or any other sensations in your body. And feel free to move a little bit your toes and your hands. You want to stretch a bit. I've been sitting for quite a while, so it's nice to do that for a moment here. All right, and if you had your eyes closed, gently let the light come back and return to the lovely faces on the screen here. And Michelle. All right, so as I mentioned, dear Kati won't be with us today. She will be back next week. Looks promising anyway. So instead of going into the relationship topic, which we will keep for both of us to share together, I took another chapter from one of the books. Many people are familiar with One Simple Change. It's the first book that we created based on Rinpoche's talks, but there is another one that's called Clarity in Everyday Life that's been less widely read. So I pulled a chapter from that and would love to read that together.
Free of ups and downs, chapter 4. Recognizing your true nature. All appearances are appearances of sheer delight. I would really be a ridiculous person if I said something like that and didn't have my own direct experience to back it up. For 28 years, I have had the great privilege to live this way, and I have gone through all kinds of things in life. I have had people born and people die. I've had serious illness, undergone major surgeries, nearly died, had all kinds of ups and downs financially, and all the many different types of occurrences in life that anyone can have. Yet my life is a life of sheer delight.
It is so clear to me that the super radiance of open intelligence illuminates everything. How did I come to know that this is true? I made a decision at one point that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired of being on a roller coaster ride all the time. Once I clearly saw that the things I had learned in life weren't working, it was easy for me to get off the roller coaster.
When I was a young woman, I had something happen in my life that was violent and unexpected. I was in great danger, and I could have lost my life. I was able to get out of that situation alive, but I was left totally traumatized and with incredible paranoia, terror, bewilderment, and horror. Wherever I turned, I could find no relief. None of my philosophical, spiritual, religious, and psychological assumptions could help me find my way out. When I talked to people about what was going on, they would say, "This is extremely difficult, but this too shall pass." I thought that meant that it would get better, but it didn't. It got worse. I couldn't find any way out of this maelstrom of intense thoughts and emotions. They were so evident in every single moment of my experience, and they were like an onslaught that couldn't be stopped. I felt hopeless and powerless. There wasn't any relief anywhere, not even in ordinary things like eating a cake, having a martini, smoking marijuana, or anything else. None of the strategies for relaxation or diversion were of any use whatsoever.
And Judy, that works for you?
But then suddenly, within all the total error and upset, I realized that all of these thoughts and emotions had the same underlying basis. I also realized that this underlying basis was one of complete relief. I could see that I had a choice of either getting worked up by whatever was going on or relaxing and enjoying the ride. I saw that open intelligence was the essence of all these appearances. No matter what these appearances were, they were fed by open intelligence, which is the essence and basis of whatever appears. I hadn't known before that there was anything like complete relief. But now I simply enjoyed the relief I felt and allowed the thoughts and emotions to do their own thing.
Welcome, James. We're just reading from a text here.
Thanks. I just saw your email. Sorry, I just came on. I just literally was going through my emails and it's like
perfect timing.
Now I was like, okay, I'll jump in. So sorry for breaking in a bit late. Sorry.
No, this is totally fine. We'll just read a couple more paragraphs and then we'll get back to just seeing each other's faces.
Thanks.
Sound good? Lovely. As I relaxed into the vast, unknowable expanse that is the natural order of everything, I found that there is a clarity and an intelligence that are beyond all the turmoil of thoughts and emotions. In that is an immense power and force of creativity. This is something that is utterly indescribable. The more that I allowed this great relief to be the case, the freer I felt.
I had always been driven to be a good person, but I didn't feel that I had even been able to achieve that goodness in my life. However, in this relief and rest, there was a naturally occurring compassion and an ability to sense, feel, and see like never before. There was a goodness that was emanating naturally that was amazing to me.
Oops, I was muted. This amazing insight was something that appeared in my mind stream in a completely natural way, and I knew that this relief was available to everyone. It was clear to me that there was no turning back from this relief that I had found, even though this was something I had never heard about from anyone else.
I found myself suddenly being able to do all kinds of things that I've never been able to do before. I could create at an entirely new level that hadn't been available to me at all. I didn't even know it was there before, because I had been completely blind to it. This became very interesting and compelling to me, and there was nothing else I wanted to know about.
Judy?
Relying on that open intelligence allowed me to be more creative in a very practical way in my own life. No longer was I ruled by my thoughts and emotions. They became less and less significant to me, and they were no longer the information that I relied on. I found that I was capable of contributing and understanding things on an entirely new level, and that was completely beyond a new level that was completely beyond conventional constraints.
From then on, with every single book I picked up, I could completely analyze and understand everything that was in it. I could see exactly, clear as the light of day, how the data came about in the author, and I could see how the conclusions in the book would play out. This was something I had not been able to see before.
It was very clear to me that there was incredible authority in what I had discovered. I kept relying on open intelligence, and after a while, the open intelligence was obvious all the time, and I didn't need to try to rely on it anymore. What had always been there in the background without being noticed was now being acknowledged in every moment. Once it was acknowledged and then re-acknowledged repeatedly and diligently again and again, it became an obvious reality.
In this way, I came to see that all descriptions are essentially equal, because their essence is open intelligence. If I had tried to understand all the descriptions and decide how they all fit together, then I would have been lost in a tailspin of descriptions forever. I chose instead to rely on open intelligence. No matter how much solace my status, reputation, or material and social circumstances had brought me, they were of no comfort any longer. I had no desire whatsoever to try and manufacture meaning out of them. I had given up on that, and I didn't want it anymore.
All my questions about intelligence, life, and self were definitely answered in a single moment. It was as if every thought, emotion, and experience I had ever had in my life passed through my mind stream in a single instant, and I could see that they were all the same essence. I became convinced that there was a way of living that didn't involve being ruled by thoughts and emotions. I also saw that anyone who chose that timeless way of living would be able to see that everything came out of their own awareness. Truly, in the relaxed naturalness of being, everything is a sheer delight.
Right. I think we leave it here. Again, that was from Clarity in Everyday Life, one of the books that we have published from Rinpoche's talks in India a long time ago by now. Can't believe that's been 15 years or something like that. All right. I'd love to hear how everyone is doing. Are there, this is a very responsive flow of our meetings here. I would love to hear if anybody had a chance to practice what we are sharing about here, any of your experiences. If you're completely new, I don't know, James, can I just ask you directly, are you familiar with all of this, or is this completely new to you?
I'm familiar with obviously living it's a different thing. You know, we've all heard about the power of now and Eckhart Tolle, and so but to live is a different thing. You know, I do have a practice, but you know, most days, you see, I'm not diligent all the time. So I have heard about it. Yeah, I've sat with some teachers that to seem to embody a certain aspect of that. So, but yeah, obviously for me to live it is different. It's difficult, and yeah. So, but yeah, no, I'm familiar with it in that level, you know. So, and I think I was one time I came across your information on, and I forget. Then I drifted away, you know, or something. But that was a few years ago. There was something. I think it was you guys as well, and a woman. Yeah. So I forget.
Sweet.
Then again, it just drifted. I don't know what happened.
Well,
I
you're
actually,
here. That's good. It's nice to see you maybe again. I don't know if we've
yeah.
met at the time, but this is wonderful, and I'm glad you resonate. Um, what, if anything, would you be most interested in hearing about?
I like the presence thing, and you said on the email it was really how to use that open intelligence. That's the language you're using. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice. I like the language. That open intelligence. To help in your relating. And as I'm just recently newly relating to a woman, after a long period of not being relating as such, but you're always relating. I know that I have friends, male and female, so we're always relating. So I shouldn't be making one special. I know that's true, but nevertheless, I just saw, oh, okay, I'd like to listen to this. Yeah.
Beautiful. I shared that before. Unfortunately, Kati, who I'm doing this meeting with usually every week, she is sick today.
Oh,
And because we're in a relationship and have been for the last 20 something years, we really wanted to do this together. So we will have this topic next week.
oh,
But I'm
brilliant.
very, since you're here, I mean, I'd be very happy to dive into it a bit, because it is, like, I think we could have every meeting about relationships and it would be inexhaustible. So let's see, what in particular, if anything, makes this a more challenging relationship to practice what you otherwise maybe find easier, when you're by yourself or when you're with other friends and relationships?
Well, like you said, I'm not saying, I'm saying, every day I'm a beginner and I fall regularly. So maybe I'm just not a good practitioner of being in the presence with people in general. It's subtle. I'm sure I am, but then I feel I miss it as well. I miss it, and I wasn't directly practicing this recently. I was practicing a mantra practice.
Mm.
So I wasn't directly focusing on essence, I was trying to spend some time on the mantra. So that's a contradiction. Well, it's not a contradiction, but you can see how it becomes a practice. So then in the day, then maybe I'm forgetting about the essence part as well. So the challenge obviously is depends especially on who I'm talking to. Like I was just doing a bus run there with my work, and some people, I feel it's challenging for me because I feel I have to answer them on a head level, and then other people, but that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to try to be able to answer them here, but also hold that space for this.
Yes.
And I have this thing, I jump out of my sort of body very quickly. I jump out into feeling I have to be that person that has to answer that other person.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a default reflex that I feel I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be present. I have to be able to answer that person. I have to be the identity James to answer and continue the conversation. And I think I lose the essence. a lot.
Where do you think the essence goes when you lose it?
I think I just don't look back at it. I look straight to engaging through the mind with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not really lost.
No, it's not really lost.
It's just that you're not aware of it as you're like engaging in that particular conversation.
I've turned my back on it maybe to feeling I have to face the other person mentally and as an individual. So maybe my personality is maybe still strong.
Yeah, it would be like the main practice we have here that you might remember from earlier is short moments of open intelligence repeated many times. And I can relate a lot to what you're saying about relationships, especially like the more important a relationship is to me, the harder it's been to remember the practice. Like the more important it felt to like either be right or to, you know, to help or to please or to be seen a certain way, or there are all these like expectations we have on ourselves. And I found that this practice of tapping into the recognition of what you call your presence, just for a moment, like, you know, when you notice, essentially you've cultivated, from what I'm hearing, already a really good sense of what's happening in those circumstances for you, which is wonderful. Like I can definitely hear you've done a lot of work. You know, otherwise you wouldn't be able to be so specific. So a suggestion would be to just play with, and maybe even do this now for a week until we're back here next Tuesday, and let us know how that goes. But would be to, whenever you remember, no, let's even say that whenever you notice what feels out of touch with your essence, take the shortest of moments to just acknowledge that it's there. Just like you did when I said, where does it go when you lose it? And you say, it doesn't go anywhere, just turned my back on it, or however you phrased it. So then notice it's still there.
Okay, gotcha.
And then continue the conversation in whatever way it wants to go. So, you know, I'm a very like heady person, you could say, myself. And even though I did open up quite an emotional depth through therapy and all kinds of other things, and still a lot of my day-to-day, like you could say, like disposition is just like in concepts and talking with people about, I'm also working in consulting and coaching, and so a lot of that is also about that part. And it is really possible to also, even while we do that, have a subtle sense of that presence. So wherever your attention is, whether it's on your mind or on your heart or on your body or anywhere else, the you that is aware of whatever it is that you're aware of is unchanging. So whether you're aware of thoughts, or you're aware of tension, or you're aware of presence, you are always here. And so you can rest in that essence of yourself, because the essence and you aren't really two things. That's often what it feels like, right? Like I'm losing touch with my essence. But then you can recognize, when you relax as that essence, that there isn't really that separation there. So it's more, the essence is either aware of itself as well, while being aware of all the stuff, or it's only aware of all the stuff, but it's always the essence that's aware. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, nicely put. Yeah, it does. It makes, just to acknowledge that in that moment and just give it a bit of space and then carry on. I guess, you know, with some presence and come back. Very good. Yeah, nicely put. Yeah, it's like some sort of duty of, oh, I have to go out there now. It's like a duty of, I don't know where it comes from. It's obviously a mindset I have, and I don't question it enough at all. but I just go into a certain default of, yeah. And I'd sort of forgotten even about taking those moments, to be honest. So it's a good reminder.
Mm.
It's a subtle thing, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a subtle thing. And it takes patience sometimes because you forget, and then you have to keep coming back. Initially, it's to that sort of a felt sense. Well, it's not a felt sense, but sort of close to that, isn't it?
Mhm.
Times it's like a felt sense.
Yeah.
So it's I guess it's to give it that time, isn't it? That, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I would. That's important. Yeah, I mean, I have a, I do have a practice, but I would like this. This sounds good in especially in the day to day. From the time you're when you get up off your seat from your practice to the rest of all your day, and that you have this practice.
Yeah, I was raised as a Christian, and just because that's what people did in Germany in in the 70s, there wasn't a lot of variety. And I've since come across, since I've been introduced to these teachings, to me, you could equally say to rest in the presence of God or something like that. Or for somebody who is more into Eastern traditions, depending on which mantra you're practicing, the essence of that mantra is probably pointing to something similar that is already within you and that you activate with the mantra, and then you can tap into the essence of that. So it really isn't we don't need to decide whether we do this or do the integration part. It's more about integrating that then into the day-to-day, into all relationships, so that you're not having two lives, like one life on the cushion and then the other 23 and a half hours a day and until you're back on the cushion, or however many cushion periods you have.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, it's only two. Yeah, it's not that much. Not enough. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I like it. Yeah, I mean, look, it's, we all, like I said, Eckhart Tolle was the popularized one, I think, for a lot of people back in the day. I don't know where you sit with that. But yeah. And is your teaching where does it come from? I don't know much about the teaching. It's probably called, you probably have a book somewhere.
we actually have a few, yes. Well, the origin of, we actually have a video about, because we had this question, like, what is the origin of the teaching? So I can, if you drop me in the chat your email address, I can send you the link to that video as well, and there we share a bit about it. But to make it really like super brief, we the founder of Short Moments, of the organization, Sitje Rinpoche, has been, as she shared, I don't know if you were there when we read this part of the text today, she shares 28 years ago, she had this shift in her life, and that the book was written 15 years ago or something. So it's quite a while back. And she didn't really have a teacher at the time. Over the years, she has met many other teachers and gurus and masters, and had friendships and collaborations. But then maybe 10 years ago or so, a few years back, she was in a teaching with a Tibetan master whose name is Wangdo Rinpoche, and who saw her realization and just her being, I would say, and he made her a lineage successor of his tradition, without her being a Buddhist actually or anything like that. So it's quite remarkable confluence of things. But then because he recognized the pinnacle teachings of his tradition and that he was sharing in her being without even speaking with her before, but then also he saw the teachings she was giving. And so there is a more in this other video that I'm happy to share with you. But that's roughly the background. And so there is definitely a very secular approach to these teachings that are like non-denominational, you could say. And then for those who want it, there is also the more traditional package for people who love the bells and whistles and the mantras and, you know, all that kind of, which I personally love for myself, but I also love the like naked essence of the teaching, you know, that I can share on LinkedIn or when I'm in coaching sessions, where it's just often more relatable to people who don't have that spiritual background. So both of these lines are accessible here, and they carry the same transmission essentially.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Okay, thanks for that. That sounds good. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks. Okay, thanks for that.
Well, it's nice to speak with you, James. I'm happy to keep chatting with you, or if anybody else here has anything you'd want to bring, just turn on your camera straight, please.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate this. And I wouldn't mind looking at that video either, if you don't mind emailing me a copy. But
yes, I would also need, because we're sending these newsletters to so many people, I probably wouldn't find your, that's why I'm asking for your email address. You have received an email from us, but I wouldn't know what's yours personally, because it was it came from our like newsletter system. So just drop it in the chat and I'll send it to you just when we're done here.
Okay, and my question is about how do you recognize that essence when, you know, there's a strong emotion and there's like tension in the body, and there's a lot of, you know, discomfort, which I'm not feeling now, but I just know it's like really hard to, you know, to like experience rest and even openness, you know.
Yeah, that's not an unusual circumstance you're finding yourself in there. Typically, those negative or challenging high energy states are a good reminder for practice, but they don't make it easy to then actually do the practice, right? So, on one level, I think just the more short moments of recognition we have in times when it's easeful, the stronger our practice will be for those times. But then typically there are also, like, there are nuances of the practice that are important to clarify over time. For example, many times when we're, well, what is a challenging, strong emotion for you? Can you describe one for me?
I think it's mostly around fear or anger.
Yeah. Okay, so say, which one would you like to have a look at?
Well, I think it's that sense of like, you know, I guess more around fear, you know, kind of like almost like something's wrong and I got to fix it, but there isn't like any specific thing kind of thing.
So it's more like an underlying anxiety state, do you think? Or is there something specific?
I think it was a little, I mean, at the time it was a lot more intense than anxiety. I mean, I was specific. I think it was, I could recognize that I was generating it by beliefs and ideas, you know, like, you know, and like I kind of got to the point where I said, oh, I need this is the concept that's generating this distress, because I had two beliefs, like one, I need it, and two, I couldn't make it happen kind of thing. But I mean, another related thing is like, just trying to sustain attention, like practicing conscious breathing, that in itself kind of creates tension in my body. And so I was, you know, I'm kind of like, I don't really necessarily want to abandon the practice of developing one-pointed concentration and trying to get to the point where it's very, very enjoyable, so that I can kind of like strengthen my yogic discipline, you know, and abandon the unwholesome distractions like eating too much in front of a computer instead of, you know, just kind of messing up my physiology so it's not optimal. But yeah, so there's this kind of this play around, you know, manipulating your life experience versus just resting in short moments. And my intuition is I kind of want to do both, you know, but I was just curious what your feeling is about that.
Love your approach and intuition. It is, see, I think often we think that if we really let something be as it is, that we're giving away our power, our control, our, you know, like any kind of say in our life, because we're like becoming a couch potato or like some passive observer of life. My direct experience, I don't want to even go into the philosophy or the theory of it, but my experience is that we actually find more clarity and power to make decisions for what we want to do. So when we say letting things be as they are, it's not so much about, it's primarily let your thoughts and emotions be as they are, let them flow on by, and notice that you are not your thoughts and emotions, essentially. You're that which is aware of your thoughts and emotions. As we dive deeper into the teachings, you'll recognize that what I just said is also taken to be with a grain of salt, because I'm making a separation there between you and your thoughts. But initially, that's really helpful. And as you do this, notice that there is a little more space around you. For example, when you get angry or some like fear comes up, recognize that there is still this you, the essence of you, that is aware of that fear coming up or of that anger coming up, and relax ever so briefly as that naked seer, as that which is aware. But here's the important thing. Don't try to not be angry. Don't try to not experience fear, because that's exactly what the practice is not designed to do. And that's maybe where you feel the contradiction. Like a lot of the, on a yogic path, just because you mentioned this, I'm not an expert there, but I've read some books and have dabbled in some practices myself. So I know there is typically a gradual path. And what we're sharing here is typically traditionally considered the highest teachings, and they kind of make the other levels obsolete in some way. So here it really is about recognizing that the indestructible essence of your being remains indestructible, whether you're eating a bag of Oreos in front of the computer, whether you're watching holy videos or very unsaintly videos on your computer screen, it is unaffected and indestructible regardless. This is what we rest in. It's not about the concept of like making sense of any of this. It's about resting as that. Just resting at getting as much of a felt, visceral, whole body, mind, heart sense of what that's like to rest as that, and tapping into that again and again. And we make practical decisions, you know. So if we go shopping and we know we typically can't resist that nice blue bag of Oreos when it's in our kitchen, then maybe make, you know, a detour in the supermarket for some time around the aisle where the Oreos are stored. Or, you know, like I exercise lightly, like I do yoga every day or almost every day, or, you know, do like none of this stops. But we do it because we want to be compassionate to this animal body and mind. And we know that having 5 cups of espresso will probably make it agitated. So while I would really love to have 5 cups of espresso, I won't. Not because open intelligence is lost, not because I won't be able to rest in open intelligence. It will just be not a good thing for me to do. So do you see what it's like? We're talking on 2 different levels, and I feel like the one-pointed focus it's such an excellent practice. Like, I have nothing bad to say about it. I practiced Vipassana for countless hours, and I love it. It was a nightmare initially because I could not focus. Once I could focus, it's a heaven realm feeling because there's just nothing there. However, as soon as I get up and enter the world, there is a lot going on. And the one-pointed focus, in my experience, didn't really bring me to complete freedom. It brought me to one-pointed focus, which is nice, but it's not complete freedom. So it's, there are different tools and techniques to deliver their respective outcomes. So resting as open intelligence means this complete freedom, but it really means complete freedom. So if we want to have other kinds of helpful aspects in our life, then we can draw on all of those practices and routines to give us support for those. For example, for people who have a problem with focus and attention because they're on the internet all the time, I might actually suggest do 3 minutes of a body scan every day, because it's been neuroscientifically shown that it helps our brain to have a state that is more easeful and calm and relaxed. And but I wouldn't recommend it as an avenue for complete freedom.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just curious about, like, I really like what you said about don't try and get rid of the fear or the anger, but just notice that you're aware of it, and then you don't have to get involved in it and create some space from it. And I was just kind of curious, like, how you see the awareness that's aware, and then the appearance, the manifestation, the data. And is there just some kind of like trust or knowing through experience that all these things just dissipate on their own, and there's no need to engage with it or identify with it or give it meaning? It's just like it presents itself and it moves on, and so you're kind of like building this capacity to be still and open with whatever, with a full range of pleasant and unpleasant, and just kind of let it be.
Right. Well put. Yes. And that's the power of the short moments practice. You don't even need to build trust, that you will then have in 3 lifetimes. In the immediacy of remembering, you can see this madness is going on for me, but I'm here and I'm actually okay. But then the story might suck you in again. No, I need to act. I need to do this. And then you relax again and you realize, I might do this, but I don't have to do anything. It's like this kind of feeling, like where you're realizing there is this really compelling story, that this is something really important and it needs to consume all your attention and you need to act on it now. And this short moment gives you that space between stimulus and response where you can see, no, I don't. I may still act on it, and do something about it, because, I don't want to have anxious energy all day long, but I don't need to do that. I'm safe within myself. This indestructible essence is the epitome of real safety, because it can't be, nothing ever happens to it. It's the same you that looked into the mirror than when we were looking in the mirror the first time. Michelle, I'd love to hear from you. And just to say, I do need to end on time because I have another meeting coming up, but I'd love to give you the floor.
Yeah, Jochen and everyone, hi. No, I just really felt moved to pop on just because, you know, I've been practicing with this teaching, I don't know now, since 2010. And just when you're speaking now about this, I just was reflecting how something that I've really noticed with this specific topic was just, you know, I'm a parent, you know, we all make funny life choices for like health or non-healthful choices and different things in relationships. But what I found, like with the practice in short moments, even when I take short moments through whatever choice I make, like the one that's healthy or not, or harmful or helpful, whatever it is, I just really see that through continuing with the short moments and being so open to the experience that follows, there's like such a natural openness, like open-heartedness with, you know, the results or consequences. And I feel like the compassion that grows just so naturally for myself has led to so much more, not even needing to choose actively to do things differently, because there's just an inherent wisdom, you know, that grows in just such an openness to being present with my experience through every, you know, every step of the way. And so, yeah, I really couldn't have imagined that quality of effortlessness, you know, of the wisdom qualities coming forward, but like only just in, like you were sharing, Jochen, just resting with whatever we do in life, you know, whatever choices we make, you know, however, if I blow up out, you know, or I don't know, blow up, but, you know, yell at my daughter or something, you know, whatever it is, it comes out sometimes. And then, you know, and then there's a complete openness to everything about everything. And so it's just like, and I heard that, and that metaphor of just like, you're holding on to like a hot griddle or a pan, and you're just like, you just let go when you really realize, you know. And I feel it supports me just to see so clearly when, you know, that's what's occurring. So yeah, I just really wanted to pop that in because it was quite alive. There's so much more to
So
share
much
here.
more, but this was great, Michelle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Well, I'd love to hear, Drake, if you're settling into this. Maybe let us know next week how that is landing for you and unfolding in your practice. And same for you, James. I'd love to hear